about this issue now. I've never seen that before. So the tide is turning, and the politicians are going to have to start backpedaling, and accountability, we pray, will come. Simplicity and this level of inhumanity is not allowed to continue. And I've been so thankful to join some of the marches and flotilla actions, but I think it would be great now to talk about what we all came here to talk about, which is the global Sumud Flotilla. And I'd like to pass to Saif, perhaps you first. And we see that these movements, they move and they build, and one step builds on another step. And I personally spent time in Cairo, and people came away from going to say, what was that? What we expected? It was a huge success because it created a lot of attention. It activated a cohort of people who'd never been involved before. They've gone home, it activated more people, and we see that grassroots temperature change. And so your courage is paving the way for others, and we're very keen to hear what it is we're talking about today.
Yes. Well, because of everything that we just heard now, because of the starvation of people, that even if they put aid today in Gaza, we are going to still see death happening because of starvation, and because we continue to see the failure of the government. So everything that just mentioned, we can't wait any longer. And they are united in their complicity. They are united in their participation in the crimes. So we have seen initiatives the last month going into different directions. We have managed to mobilize many people. Maybe it has to do with our capacity of organizing, but mainly because people want to act, because people want to work together in a transnational cross-border, because they don't want to limit themselves to territories or specific kind of action. And as Melanie just said, because it is up to civil society to take a step forward and impose an end to this genocide and starvation. That's why we are working together from Southeast Asia with 8 countries participating, from American Latin with another 8 or 9 countries, with Europe, so many countries involved, and North Africa. We decided to work together and basically cross the Mediterranean. They think that the repression and the illegal kidnapping of activists on Handala and on the Madeleine last month will stop people. They don't understand that the crimes they are committing in Palestine today is questioning every aspect and principle of our life. It's not the question today is not if what's happening is genocide or not. The question is how we are going to survive the crimes that Israel is committing in Palestine. You know, the people, our value of life, why we wake up in the morning, and the principles that we teach to our kids, it's all being questioned today. The moral compass for life today is what's happening in Palestine, and everything else that is going to come after. It's unknown. It all depends on how we act. That's why we and as you said, there's no time. We cannot wait any longer. We have to act now. So the next mission that we are all involved in is to send dozens of ships through the Mediterranean with the participations of all profiles of people, a true representation of the civil society. And the politicians that they still have some conscience and they are still trying to do something. The human rights organizations that also they believe that it's not politics. It's not about if you are with Palestinians or with the Israeli government. It's a question of actually standing for every principle of human rights that we are defending, which will shape our future generations. That's why we have to take a stand. So if my colleagues also can have an input with them. You're kind of too.
Okay, thanks, Professor Walt, for having us here. I present what people would see, not only CSOs or NGOs in Southeast Asia, but like to see ourselves as the global South rising. The people here are not from the global South. And Alhamdulillah, we managed to get someone to represent the voices.
And they're Palestinians.
Alhamdulillah, I managed to get people from the global South working towards this. And when we talk about advocacy, we talk about we always focus on big countries that can move the governments, or we talk about countries that have these strong and loud voices. But we tend to forget how Israel itself works by talking about diplomacy in numbers. I think the last country that they approached was Bhutan, and they managed to get the vote of Bhutan inside the UN. And in the global south, there are many countries that don't talk about Palestine. We are approaching a few countries, for example, like the Philippines, who have maybe had one mass gathering of the people from the start of the genocide. We are talking about Thailand, for example, who's still sitting on the fence, not knowing where to go. We're talking about Brunei, who does not have or needs any relations to the outer world, but they are not supporting Palestine enough. So these countries are the countries that we are trying to hope in. And we hope that this movement will be bigger, greater movement that will include all of these countries. As of now, we have 8 countries. We are planning to move at least 4 million people in mass gatherings, and also to join the ships in any way that they can, either by fundraising or being on the ships themselves. And then hoping in a few weeks to come, we'll manage to call in another 7 countries to be also with us, inshallah.
Mohammed, it is so exciting to have your voice and representation here. Those votes join the other votes, and I would love for the sake of press here to be really specific about what is it that's going to happen, when is it going to happen, how big is it going to be?
We can share what we can share.
That's the question that not only everyone has been asking us, but everyone has been asking themselves. Because in a planet of 8 billion people, the vast majority of humanity know that starving children to death is wrong, that bombing hospitals, schools, shelters, residential areas is wrong, that burning people alive in hospitals is absolutely wrong. But the thing is that they've been facing 2 barriers. The first barrier is that it's a rogue state that commits state terrorism and that has no accountability, no regard to international law, to international organizations and to other nations. And the second barrier is the nation states that somehow are complicit, that want to maintain business as usual. So if people had the capacity of changing both things, first the violation that is happening, second the complicity, people will feel that their desire was being taken into practice. So that's where we want to go into, because in a planet of 8 billion people, when we have the social majority of the world that wants something, we cannot be content about just giving our opinion or doing punctual actions or small actions. We need to use the potential that humanity has. And that's how huge violations in history ended, like the apartheid in South Africa, like the colonialism in India, or all the global south, like the racial segregation, so many countries, like the US, for example, that we can mention, the civil rights movement. That's people mobilization that drives history. And we really want to put a moment of a breakthrough on that. So we are proposing the biggest solidarity mission that we've ever seen regarding the escalation of the genocide of these 21 months. And we really want to do that together. Imagine what was in the heart and minds of every person who was cheering for every boat that went trying to break the siege of Gaza. And what every person felt, okay, they intercepted 1 boat, but what if there were more boats? What if we had dozens of boats? What if these boats were not just sailing by themselves? What if we had massive mobilization in the city right at the same time? What if we could converge all this energy of millions and millions of people who are not organized yet, but they want to be part of something, they want to belong to something? So that's the general idea. We organize a mission with dozens of boats at the same time to break the siege of Gaza, to carry every single drop of water, of food, of medicine that we can carry, but to open definitely a humanitarian corridor that can put an end to starvation. But as part of that, bring a massive mobilization in the city and a creation of an international mass movement that could be a game changer. That's our goal right now.
Okay, so how specific are you able to be today?
I just, thank you so much. I just thank you so much for reiterating that. I just want to add on it while I was listening to you that I want to remind you that whatever the Handala was doing, the Sumud Flotilla is doing, the Global March to Gaza, the Sumud Convoy, we are abiding by the law. There's nothing that we do that is illegal. So everything that we have done was within the merits of the law, and yet we are being persecuted. We are being abducted and taken hostage and deported and held for many hours. So this is something for also the global community to be aware of, that this is as clear as it gets a sign that the states and politicians are not in line with law. They are actually disrespecting the law in every stance they get, and intercepting a ship of international people in international waters is international crime. This is illegal, and holding them and bringing them to their country is also illegal. No one of them wanted to be there in the first place. So it's this, I think, is a very vital and very important thing for us to remember and to uphold as well. And that we have come together. We have hundreds of thousands of followers and people, online and offline around the world. And we have actually gathered many thousands of them to be active and come and go. And the global government should be aware of that. That they cannot sit idly back and continue their complicity what they are doing day to day, and actually only because they are the few people who are holding all these measurements and these atrocities and these inhumane conditions in place, but they're not speaking for their societies. And it's very telling that among the countries that recognize Palestine, which is the vast majority of the world right now, just when you flip it around, our delegations in our global Sumud Flotilla is made up of the majority of the countries who did not recognize Palestine. So, when they always say the international community, that's just not true. The whole international community is on the side of the Palestinians at this moment, because they're being exterminated, and they are being destroyed, everything around them. And as you were saying so well, we don't need to even listen to the Palestinians themselves, because the Israelis are saying that, and they are showing us images, and they are saying over and over again that their aim is the destruction of the civilians in Palestine. I mean, how clear do you need to have it? And then maybe on a personal note, for me as a German, I can only say this is shameful. It's unbelievable that this German government is supporting a state with everything they can that is committing a genocide, when we promised to the world that never again would we allow this to happen. But it is happening again. And when you ask yourself what would you have done during the Holocaust, then you know it, because this is the time where we have exactly these same circumstances, where it's your duty to speak up and not to look away. And I hear from so many Holocaust survivor grandsons and granddaughters in Germany, they're desperate to get their voice out. This morning I was reading a story of Tomer in Berlin, who was saying, I see the starvation and I recall the memories of my two grandmothers who were starved in concentration camps, and they had lifelong damages from these events. So this is literally a repetition of history, and it's time for us all to take a stance now, which we are doing. I'm sorry, you wanted details. So that coming back to our coalition, I think this is exactly what we need at this time. We need the global society to be there, to be ready, and we know that we have them in our backs, really. And for sure, we cannot say the exact details because we all know, how many sabotaging events we have already encountered, and this is also very typical because it should be prevented to see that there's solidarity, that because of exactly what we were saying, right? Because our governments change their policies when the pressure gets too high from the civilian population. But the pressure from the civilian population is also dependent on the information that we get and the communication that we see that that they are trying to obstruct to us. So
while we have to be careful with specifics, what we can say, and I want to create a little bit of time for questions now.
There's something that I think it's important. Yes. Is that the main thing we already have, and we can say very loudly, they will not stop us. They will not hinder us. So they just stopped another solidarity mission. They just committed another war crime, but we are going again, and we are going bigger. So we have
My camera, I'll just do it like that, it's fine.
global Flotilla, and we're inviting every single person in this world to join us. To fill the form, to bring your talent, to bring your expertise in any area that can be useful to mobilize in the streets, in the internet, everywhere, even in boats or outside of boats, because we're going far beyond a specific tactic. And we need your support. We need your
Yeah, I was thinking of this protest on Parliament Hill.
mobilize more people.
It's like, rather than all this setup, just apply to protest. And then I was just thinking of Olivia Chico's comment. And thinking,
Time for us
it's a way to placate the masses.
Palestinian people.
Like, now you have your protests,
Not
but we're not actually doing
fight
anything.
governments failing the Palestinian people.
It's like, I think,
But
like,
you're
the little reading I've done on civil disobedience has to be
take a step,
convenient.
a step further.
That seems very convenient. And if it's financial, the better. The more financial, the better.
So go to the Global Sumud Flotilla page, fill the form.
Because there have already been these protests to Ottawa.
Really,
We've done anything.
really talented
No.
community, in this community of people that really dream of a different society and are willing to take a step further.
Tell me again, why?
Most important we have.
That was great.
Come and join us. The details will
Right.
be the situation.
Right.
We will
What are
have
you doing here?
things, but we're not only inviting
Right.
you to come to say hello to dozens of boats living. We're inviting you to be part of a historical mission that goes
This is in
far.
place. But that, like, I've only been doing very little.
We want you to
But even I,
We're not asking you to follow our journey. We want you to go shoulder by shoulder with us on that and make this true, because most of the decisive things that constitutional mission like that are already settled. So we know that what we are talking about, we are saving this season, this summer, but we need you. We need you to make this meaningful. We need you to make this as impactful as it can. So please join us and answer to this call to action in solidarity with the Palestinian people.
Here I go. Let's have a few minutes for questions from the press, and I'll be happy to repeat them.
First and foremost, as a Palestinian, thank you to all the work that you guys have done and will continue to do before and after 2023. I understand that information is sensitive, but you made mention that there were many attempts of sabotage. Do you guys feel comfortable to talk about, as Israel prides itself on its AI weaponry and its cyber warfare that is used to destroy life and limb in Gaza, do you guys feel comfortable to speak on such incidents, where you felt that you were being sabotaged, that you were being targeted, that you feel that if it was for example, the Israeli military are trying to interfere with the work that you guys are trying to do, or different ways that you guys could expect sabotage or could expect any form of infiltration in the hope to prevent it in the future?
So the question there was, are you able to comment on sabotage incidents, what that means for the future?
All the attempts to break the siege have suffered some kind of sabotage. Actually, some have been defeated by bureaucratic warfare, when they pressure nation states to pull the flag of a boat, for example, or insurance companies to refuse and withdraw the insurance of a boat, or when they pressure port authorities, or coast guards, or mayors of the city, or state governors, or heads of states of countries not to allow a boat to depart. So this bureaucratic warfare happens every single time, and we are sure we're gonna face that, but we count on people's power that will not allow any nation state to succumb to the Zionist pressure. But the other things also happen. Israel bombed a boat 3 months ago between Malta and Italy. For 5 hours, we will not have 80 people on that boat, the conscience boat. So this is part of another initiative, another organization, and we need to understand that. But it's part of the solidarity movement for Palestine as a whole. The Hamal mission, when it was leaving Gallipoli, for example, had the ropes tied to the propellers. They tried to infiltrate sulfur acid into the water tanks of the boat. We had a Honda last year when we were trying to sail, they were trying to put contraband disguised as donations to create traps for people. They tried to infiltrate Zionist spies on our boats. So we've seen dozens of these things trying attempts to happen on the global march to Gaza as well as any solidarity movement. So the Zionist entity has no moral at all, and they will do anything to stop a humanitarian mission that shows the world the most obvious things. Because when people see starving children, they want to bring food and they want to stop people from doing that. Because by doing that, you're exposing their cruelty. You're not believing their lies anymore. And you show to the world that they should not believe their lies. So they'll do anything. They really fear these humanitarian nonviolent missions because they are so pedagogical in a way because it makes people ask the right questions. So why are civilians doing this, not governments? Why are they going by sea? What happens with the borders? Why are the borders closed? And why are they taking aid? Why these people cannot provide their own means of existence in their own country? So when these missions happen, they bring the right questions to people, and there's no turning back from that. All the millions of young people that understands that 8 decades of genocide and ethnic cleansing, the structural and apartheid colonial state, and the racist and supremacist ideology, which is Zionism, they never go back to sleep. And they will never stop mobilizing. They'll never again believe their lies. So they will always try to sabotage. We will always be here to protect ourselves, but this will not hinder us from doing what's necessary to do. So that's why we keep moving forward.
So there will obviously be attacks of similar nature and with more boats and more exposure, more exposure, essentially more surfaces to attack. And I understand the need to be careful with specifics. But can I ask you some more questions? And please, if you'd like to direct to a specific person, that would be helpful.
In the meantime, I would like to also maybe from the global march perspective that of course we also had sabotage and infiltration, and this is but maybe I can focus on the complicit states, you know, because these states really is so important for us to understand that they are all part and parcel of this genocide. So, you know, in Germany, for example, the federal police was waiting in front of the gates of Egypt Air and asking passengers what they were doing in Egypt, right? So this has never happened before. So why would they interrogate people there, right? So you see that they are all working together. For example, in the UK, when the legal marcher came home, he was arrested under a terrorist act. You know, and as Thiago was saying, this is exactly it, because it's for this global complicit genocidal system, it is so dangerous when they seek solidarity, because it's driven in division, and solidarity really is the biggest threat when it is actually the most benign thing, right? It's just an expression of love and protection. That's all it is, and it doesn't come with weapons. It doesn't come with violence or anything like that. But yeah, so that's for sure something that we experience on many levels, but it is also not something that is ever going to hold us back. You know, we expect these things, we count them in, but that's also why we are we're just careful what information we are going to share, because we have to protect our mission.
A quick question: how soon is the profile about, and is there any prominent figures who join this convoy? And have you taken any security measures to avoid this sabotage from Israel?
Yes, well, this is the good part about having 44 countries involved. We have so many people who are spending basically 24-hour time working on this project to make it a successful one. And those are the same people who are going to protect the mission and make sure that we don't have infiltrations, there is no sabotage attempts. And as Thiago said, we are going as soon as possible this season, because as mentioned by our speakers, there is no time to wait. We cannot wait for next season. We cannot wait for next year. We said that we don't know what's going to happen in the couple 2 weeks, but we know for sure that even if now 18% to Gaza, people will still die from starvation. So we are moving as soon as possible. And then there are so many people, prominent figures, who are contacting us and want to be part of any mission that goes, because Because it is a moral and ethical responsibility to take a stand, and we cannot keep waiting for governments because governments keep failing to do their job and to protect civilians and to stand for basic rights. That's why people have to, take those missions, whether by land or air or sea. And we have to continue working in this, in the same perspective. What Thiago mentioned of that campaign or the mission website, that's where people can go to register to globalsmoothflotilla.org, where we are asking for all skills of skippers, of social media experts, of even activists or permanent figures or human rights organizations, anyone who would like to stand. And I want to emphasize also the part of the mission itself, that it's not about the campaign. What we are heavily invested in is a global solidarity mass movement of people from all around the world working together, not only on sea, but we want to work together in a strategical plan on every aspect of organizing, because this is what we need to confront those complicities. This is what we need to be able not only to stop genocide and repression and crimes in Palestine, but in every oppressed people, in every oppressed community. We have to work together, shoulder by shoulder, in joint struggle, and we have to go to global south, and we have to go to all countries and work with them, because today solidarity is not toward one community. Solidarity today is a mutual road that we go and we come back. We work together here and there, and we try to cover as many causes as possible. And we do have the obligation today, because we want to shape a different future than the one they are planning for us. We don't want a genocidal future. We want a future where people are respected with their rights, where justice is everywhere, regarding where you live or where you come from. And yeah, so those people who believe in this idea are going to be the ones who will protect those ports and will protect us from any sabotage.
Sam from are you guys part of FXC, or do you have a future to send like FXC aboard to Gaza in the future, or have you been sent before some boats to Gaza?
Thank you so much for your question. I think this is very important to ask, because this mobilization is bringing together a lot of not only initiatives, but also individual people. So a lot of FFC organizers and people who coordinate missions and bring a lot of expertise are also joining this mission. But as organizations, we have the Global March to Gaza, that became the Global Movement to Gaza. We have the Sumud Convoy, we have Nusantara, and many organizations. But many FFC organizers and participants in missions and people who admire these initiatives, and even some national campaigns are part of that. But this is an ongoing process. Like, to build any social movement, we have our open doors. So I myself am a steering committee member of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, but in this mobilization, I speak as a global Sumud Flotilla steering committee member. It's important that we understand the difference, that this process of accumulation, of creating synthesis, of working together is part of any ongoing process of resistance, and we respect the regions, we respect the organizations. So that's why we make this difference. So we are here as individuals that have specific skills, specific expertises, have been coordinating missions, spaces that people know, and we are here to provide everything and can for this important mission.
Thanks, Thiago. We need to come in for a little bit of landing, but there will be time for those who are able to stick around, if you're able to stick around, to do more one-on-one interviews. I'd like to just make a comment, pass the mic to you, Mohammed, and maybe Mel, you can wrap up, and then it's a short video and we'll be done. But I think what's so exciting here is that, we've gone from one boat to another boat to many boats to something that's including, the global south as well. And it's a building momentum, it's an escalation, and it won't back down. We won't back down because Palestine is free. And I think when the governments fail, the people step in, and you've blazed the path for others to follow. And so we look forward to hearing more specifics, understanding the sensitivities, but we're not talking one boat. It is the next level, and I think that's very significant. And I'm not sure, is that the first time it will be a convoy of this kind?
Of this size, yes.
Yeah, will be.
There was a convoy
Yeah, in the history of the attempts to break the siege, the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, once it was formed in 2010, had a mission that had a dozen boats, and most of them were intercepted before getting close to Gaza, but some of them were part of the attack. That many people survived this attack that killed 10 people on the Mount Marmara boat. That the marches of the families of the marches created a very important organization called Mount Marmara, which is part of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition as well. So that was the biggest mission so far, and it's very important that we honor that legacy that this organization has, and the Freedom Flotilla as a whole that does a very important job. This mission does not come to replace or to compete with anything else, but come to honor and to try to bring more people together, because when people see this type of missions, they want to be part of that, either being on a boat or somehow being helpful to that. That's what we are trying to achieve. And yes, we really were hoping for, and we really answered and listened to what people said whenever we get intercepted. They said, what if we get dozens of boats? They cannot do that. And yes, we're convinced that we are going to break this right now.
Thank you. Mohammed, any comments from you?
Yeah, our Sumud Flotilla, our platform is our Prime Minister, let us say, Anwar Ibrahim, nation himself. But I think people tend to forget the importance of the soul beings and each and every individual playing a part in what we are doing. I remember a story, a very short story about what happened in 2021 when I was in Gaza. The 11-day attacks that happened there inside the Gaza Strip. And I went to a building that was just bombed by the Israeli warplanes. And there was this girl that was trapped under the rubble. And she was sending text messages to all the people and telling them, please help me, I'm still inside, please do what you can. And firefighters were trying to save her with their bare hands, trying to grapple and crawl and trying to get her out of these stones and the building itself. And then after a few hours, they took out the girl, and unfortunately she had died. And that is what is happening today. The people of Palestine are trying to send us calls of distress. They are sending us text messages. They're telling us do something, stand with us. Please be a part of something to stop. This maddening genocide is still ongoing after 2 years. And it depends on us. Are we going to answer a call, or are we going to let them die and be a part of history?
Good, Sam. Any comments now?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for the moderation. Thank you so much for each and everyone who was here today with us, and all of you. We are very grateful to have you on our side and on the side, the right side of history and the side of law. Actually, I just want to, as a lawyer, come back to that. So sorry, but yeah, I want to also just put the focus again a little bit on the states are the ones who need to take measures, and they're not doing it. So that's also what is making them complicit. The states need to put an arms embargo. They need to put sanctions on Israel. They need to suspend trade agreements that put beneficial measures on them, and they are not doing all of that. And this is why we are marching and sailing and keeping to go further with every step. And I just also wanted to come back to the point that on average, every day, a school class of children is being, and every day there are countless bombings and killings in Gaza, in addition to the starvation and the final stage that we are seeing right now, where yes, many people are also saying this is the final stage of the Gaza Strip, and we cannot let this happen again. So that's, yeah, because just to also mention this once here in this press conference, because this is utterly racist, I mean, we keep saying that this is inhumane. Yes, it's inhumane because Palestinians are being dehumanized. They're being dehumanized and stripped of their humanity, and this is racism, and we know that. And everyone who takes part in it is also culpable of this claim. So yes, I'm very excited to start this. We have many thousands of people already in our organizational structures. We will keep growing, we will be bigger, and nothing is going to hold us back to put our stance on this, that this is not in our name. And we will break the siege on Gaza one or the other way, sooner or later, and Palestine will be free also from illegal occupation. What the United Nations have decided that in September it has to stop, and Israel has to remove all its illegal entities and settlements. So just to recall that as well, now I think in the next couple of weeks and months, everything is going to fall into one piece, and it's time to finally give justice to the Palestinians.
Yes, and I think we'll wrap with a video from Yona Benyara, member of the Congress of Deputies of Spain. There will be time to have some one-on-one for those who are able to stay. Thank you very much. And we'll leave it there.
Voilà.
Hola, soy Yone Belarra, secretaria general de Podemos y exministra de Derechos Sociales por España, y hoy quiero pedirte que apoyes el Sumud Flotilla, una iniciativa de la sociedad civil que en las próximas semanas va a lanzar barcos humanitarios con activistas internacionales a bordo desde todo el Mediterráneo de forma coordinada para romper el bloqueo criminal que está ejecutando el Estado terrorista de Israel. Lo que estamos viendo en la Franja de Gaza es un genocidio, un intento de exterminio planificado del pueblo de Palestina por parte del Estado terrorista de Israel, y la complicidad de los gobiernos europeos y particularmente de los Estados Unidos de América es lo que está permitiendo que Israel le vuelva a hacer al pueblo de Palestina lo que no tenía que haber sucedido nunca más después del exterminio de los judíos y de las judías en Europa hace casi un siglo. Desde aquí quiero mandar todo mi apoyo a estos activistas, a estas activistas, y pedirle a todo el mundo que se siga movilizando, que siga hablando de Palestina, porque solo desde abajo, solo la gente decente en todo el mundo va a ser capaz de romper este genocidio y de romper este bloqueo criminal.
Thank you. And we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
That's just to say, yeah.
They wanted to change from interviews.
Yeah.
If you have a minute, Patrick has himself. But I'll let 21st century Bible about history of the